Alright, so hello and welcome to the Daily Space for today, February 12th, 2020. I am your host, Annie Wilson. Most Mondays through Fridays, our team will be here putting science into your brain. Usually Wednesdays are for Rocket Roundup, and today is no different. It's actually been a busy week for aerospace. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's get to it, shall we? So, oh boy. Not joking about this whole busy week. So, first off, our first launch of the week was an Ariane Space Soyuz 2 from Baikonur on Thursday, February 6, 2020 at 9:42 p.m. UTC with the second set of satellites for the OneWeb constellation. 34 satellites were on this launch, which brings the constellation size up to 40. They were released in sets about 20 minutes apart with no more than 4 satellites in a set. While I couldn't find any official reason why this was done, I suspect it was done to reduce the possibility of collisions. Each of these satellites is about the size of a refrigerator and weighs about 150 kilograms or 75 2-liter soda bottles. OneWeb expects to have global coverage by the end of 2021. And this is just a pretty picture of the launch that OneWeb had in their press kits. And Of course, I have a launch video for you. So warning, rocket launches are loud. It's going to take me a second to scrub to the appropriate spot in this.
Batch about to lift off.
So this
oh no,
is
there it goes, right there.
Remarkable.
I did it right.
It's fantastic to see the rocket. I'm excited on many levels. I think for OneWeb, this isn't that we've waited a year for 34 satellites. We've waited for a year so that we could build 34 satellites a month.
Okay,
so this is really the start.
And that's very exciting. So 35 seconds to launch. Let's sit back now and watch the launch.
There's the arm pulling back. I know it's hard to see. Turning everything on. Everything's fired, and there it goes. This rocket had boosters on it, as well as a central core. And I can't remember if we'll be able to see the booster separation.
And there she goes. The next 34 OneWeb satellites have begun their journey. They're heading out north.
Alright, so I'm just going to pause it there because, Yeah, they do cover in this video, they do cover the entire process from releasing each set of satellites. And again, it's 20 minutes apart, so it's a very, very long video. So if you have 6 hours to kill, go ahead, look up this video. Alright. Moving on. Once I get this all fixed again. Come on, you can do it. No. And then I realized I forgot to turn something else on. So, oh my. Okay. Next up, a Mitsubishi Heavy Industries H-2 Alpha rocket launched the IGS Optical 7 mission for JAXA on February 9th at 1:34 UTC. And IGS, Optical 7, or Information Gathering Satellite Optical 7, has a very self-descriptive name. It's a satellite that gathers optical data for informational purposes. In other words, it's a Japanese spy satellite. Details about the payload are classified, so I really don't have much to say other than it was a perfectly nominal launch. And yeah, more launch video. Protect your ears. So this one...
11、50、49、48、47、46、45、44、
Skip ahead a little bit.
33、32、31、30、29、28、27、26、25、24、23、22、21、20、19、18、17、16、15、14、
Japanese countdown.
13、12、11、10、9、8、7、6、5、4、3、2、1、0、
SRPA 点火、リフトオフ。
3、4、
1号ロケット41号機は2010年2月9日午前10時34分00秒に東の宇宙船に打ち上げられました。
13、14、15、16、
Alright, I'm going to stop it here because these are volunteers. Hey! I know you have opinions on this. Thank you. These were volunteers that captured the launch. This was not an quote official stream by JAXA or Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. It was a bunch of people that were like, we're gonna go out and broadcast this. So they are close-ish, but not super close. And they're kind of limited by their equipment, but still, the fact that they were able to stream was pretty freaking awesome. So, alright, on to the next one. A surprise sneaky launch. Later that same day, Iran launched a rocket on February 9th at 3:48 p.m. UTC. So, before I get into the details, I'd like to take a moment to remind you that we don't discuss politics in depth. I'm going to state a few facts about the political climate and move on from it. Alright? Alright, cool. Iranian launches are fairly rare, with only a handful occurring each year. Due to current sanctions by the United States, the U.S. State Department condemns these launches and essentially states that Iran is furthering development on their ballistic missile program under the guise of peaceful aerospace applications. Iran has placed satellites into orbit before using the country's smaller orbital class booster, the Sapphire, first in 2009, the last being launched in 2015. All three launches of the Sigmor have failed to place objects into their intended orbits. While similar to a North Korean ICBM, that's Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, variant that's currently under development, both Iranian variants use liquid fuel, which does limit their military usefulness. Okay. Alright, enough of that. On to the good stuff. Please remember, we don't discuss politics in depth. Moving on to the good stuff. Right. Anyway, first, The bad news. This Sigmore launch can be considered a failure. The good news is that the rocket itself seems to have performed nominally. Unfortunately, the payload didn't obtain orbital velocity. That's a fancy way of saying that gravity won in the tug-of-war of forces, and instead of continuing on to orbit, the satellite crashed into the ocean. Iran Front Page, an English-language Iranian media organization, have quoted officials saying this was a research flight and the primary goal was not to deliver the satellite to orbit. Meanwhile, Azeri Jarrami, Iran's Communications and Information Technology Minister, admitted in a tweet on Sunday after the launch that it had been in fact a failure, but expressed determination and optimism for the space program's continued progress. They're getting better at this space stuff. There's no launch video for this launch because everything that I found was suspected to be a rebroadcast of previous launches. I'm fairly certain this is an actual photo of the launch. So, yeah. Anyways, Iran's aerospace program is a touchy subject. Let's move on. Our last launch of the week was United Launch Alliance with an Atlas V rocket on February 10th at 4:03 a.m. UTC. On board was the Solar Orbiter, an ESA mission with strong NASA participation to study the sun. Even though the Solar Orbiter, also known as SOLO, is officially in space, it still has a long way to go. It will take about a year and a half to reach an orbit close and tilted enough to the sun to begin its mission, and it will need 2 gravity assists from Venus, one in December of 2020, later this year, and one in August 2021, and another gravity assist from the Earth in November 2021 to get there and begin its mission. The main mission, therefore, won't begin until November 2021, after that Earth flyby. That said, the orbital work isn't done yet. Solo's mission has planned out a total of 9 gravity assists. All 6 of the later ones are with Venus, some of which will not occur until after the mission is well into its extended phase of operations past the planned mission's end in December 2026. The close passes of Venus in 2022 and 2025 will push the craft to its closest distance to the sun in March of 2025 and will tip the orbit far enough for it to cross the sun's face at 17 degrees north solar latitude. But these later flybys will tilt the orbit even further and further out of the ecliptic plane, making clearer observations of the sun at higher and higher latitudes possible. The close pass in 2029 will push the craft above 33 degrees north with respect to the sun, its highest latitude to date, as it passes well within the orbit of Mercury, and yet another boost is scheduled for 2030 as well. Solo will mostly study the magnetic fields and space weather. There's a whole lot that we don't know about the sun, and the spacecraft aims to gather data to help fill in our gaps of knowledge. This will be the first solar mission to observe the polar regions, in which it is crucial to observe what happens in those areas when the North Pole becomes the South Pole. And this is just a pretty picture from the press kit of the launch. They used a fisheye lens here. You can tell because of the circular distortion at the horizon, but it does capture the arc of the launch very nicely. And, yeah. This is a video text. Oh, here we go. I was like, this is a launch. Oh, these are the things that he told me about. Okay, never mind. Sometimes more text gets put onto the slide than gets read out loud. So here's a launch video. Again, reminder, things are loud. No, what did you do? This is supposed to be a video.
Lift off.
Release.
Vehicles cleared the tower. Now beginning the pitch over maneuver. Body rate responses look good. Seeing good engine operating parameters on the RD-180 engine. Now passing 15 seconds. Atlas propellant utilization system is going to closed loop control. System response looks good. Now 25 seconds into flight.
Loud unconfirmed. Says
Chamber pressure on the
OpenPage.
SRB looks good. Engine operating parameters on the RD-180 also look good. And at 35 seconds in, vehicle is completing the pitch over maneuver. Now 41 seconds into flight. RD-180 throttling down slightly as expected. Engine response looks good. And vehicle's now passing Mach 1. Atlas 5 is now supersonic.
Alright, I'm gonna stop it here. It's a pretty short video, all in all. But that does give you an idea of what the launch was like. Okay, so to wrap things up, here's a running tally of a few spaceflight statistics that I'm tracking for the year. There has been 1 toilet burned up in orbit. There are a total of 178 new satellites in orbit. 164 of those were from actual rocket launches. There have been 11 rocket launches so far. The US and China are tied at 3, followed by French Guiana at 1, New Zealand at 1, Japan at 1, Baikonur at 1, and Iran at 1. And your useless space fact for the week is that the solar orbiter is not vegan. One of the coatings used to protect the craft from the sun's intense heat contains animal bones. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. So I am going to yeah, I want to go read your question. Ernster says, oh, Roscosmos is going to be upset that you're taking Russian launches and giving them to the Kazakhs. So here's what I'm doing let me back up. So here's what I'm doing. I'm keeping track of orbital launches by spaceport because there's many, many ways to keep track of orbital launches. You can do it by company or organization responsible for the launch. You can do it by origin of the rocket, or you can do it by spaceport. I have chosen to do by spaceport. This last launch from Baikonur in Kazakhstan, I can't pronounce things. This last launch from Baikonur was actually an Arianespace launch. So if I were to do this by organization in charge of the launch, these numbers would change a little bit, and French Guiana or Arianespace, because Arianespace is the only place that launches from French Guiana, Arianespace would have 2 launches for the year. If I went with country belonging to country that the company belongs to or region, so that would put France at 2. If I went by country, that New Zealand and USA launch would be combined to be 4. So it's kind of tricky, but I have just decided Kazakhstan. That feels weird in my mouth, Veronica. Kazakhstan. So that's why I've chosen to do by spaceport. There's more politics in aerospace than I would than I care to admit. So, okay, so I'm gonna scroll back up and see what some of your questions were. Oh, I asked for useless space facts earlier, and I am keeping track of them. So some of the earlier useless space facts from the community. OpenCage says Mercury is so close to the sun that its orbit is weird without relativity. I have, oh, that was the first one because I actually wrote that one down. And then Ernster says, statistically, at the fastest speeds humans have ever traveled, the radiation of their own bodies would give them cancer before they reach the closest star. Refsmet adds that all payloads carried by the space shuttle had to be balanced by carrying loads of lead ballast into orbit and bringing it back again, serving no other purpose. And Bad Panda Bear pops out with Kepler 11145123 is the roundest natural object ever measured. So yeah. Yeah. And looking for the thing. All right. Larry's asking, why Baikonur? Why did they launch from Baikonur? Were they aiming for a polar orbit? I don't remember, unfortunately. I know that they are going to launch from Baikonur. They're going to launch from French Guiana. And they're going to launch from another... It's not Baikonur. It starts with a V. I know they're also planning on launching from there. Don't mind me while I try to get dog cam back up. And I don't know how bright OneWeb satellites are in comparison to SpaceX Starlink satellites. Another good-ish thing about releasing them in groups no more than 4 is that there's not really any trains. And yeah, I know they're both going to be kind of low, but yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what orbit they were launched into. So, Armstrong does note that OneWeb operates in a higher low Earth orbit than Starlink, which Starlink was prevented from by concerns the US FCC FAA had with deorbiting space junk. So yeah. I do not know. Larry's asking about the added latency of OneWeb. I don't know that off the top of my head. I imagine it'll be comparable to Starlink and better from the latency you would get from, simply because they're closer, better than the latency you would get from GEO. Satellites in GEO. So Ernster is adding maybe 10 milliseconds at most. So, And yes, the Japanese launch was very lovely and very scenic. And they did a really good job. I just like reminding people that they're not paid professionals. The group that goes out and tries to stream the Japanese launches. They're doing what they can with what they have, and I find them amazing. That's not a knock to them. It's me appreciating all the hard work they do. So, oh, and reactions to the animal bones being used as part of a coating for the spacecraft. I don't know why. I just know that was part of the thing. I've heard charred animal bones and I've heard baked animal bones, which is why I just went with animal bones. We do use charred animal bones to like bleach sugar. If you've ever seen sugar come if you've ever seen like raw sugar, it has kind of a brownish tint, but a lot of the sugar that you get, like granulated sugar, is white, and it's actually considered non-vegan because it's gone through a process with charred... You have an opinion on this, with charred animal bones to bleach it white. So yeah. Yeah. Open Cage asks, rocket sonic boom concerns. For who exactly, Open Cage? I'm not sure. I'm not sure who you're asking for. Oh, Vashnakini. Fine. Gem Doctor adds, fine porcelain crockery is non-vegan too. Open Cages, I tried to form a better question. And I don't know about sonic boom concerns, and sound is dealt with in a number of ways. I know US sites and a lot of other launch sites use water as sound dampening. Partially so the vibrations from the sound hitting solid objects don't, mess up the rocket launch. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there are concerns. There are sometimes environmental concerns. Oh! Make it rain! Make it rain! There are sometimes environmental... Thank you so much, as I try to do all the things at once. There are sometimes environmental concerns when sensitive or endangered or threatened animals are living nearby, like when there's booster returns from SpaceX on the West Coast. Yeah, we did a thing about that a long time ago about seals. Somebody was paid to go out and count seals. Not joking. That's a real job. To make sure that they weren't negatively affected by the sound of the sonic booms from the boosters returning. So, DPI is asking why OneWeb doesn't need U.S. government permission to launch all of these satellites into into orbit. The short answer is that, like Arnstra says, they're not launching from the U.S. It's not a U.S.-owned company. Like, the U.S. partnership involved with OneWeb is that the satellites are built in the U.S. But it's not a U.S. company, and they don't launch from the U.S., therefore they don't need the FAA and FCC permissions that Starlink needs. So, yeah. Any other questions? I am totally going to add new useless space facts to every week's episode, so feel free to submit them. I will make sure that I credit you when I do announce them, because the world needs more arcane, useless space facts. We really do. I have a feeling that, some people would beg to differ, like animal bones and things, but we need more useless space facts. Bad Panda Bear says, did you see the one that you posted? So Bad Panda Bear, I have from you the roundest object. The roundest object was... I copy pasted it. I have Kepler 11111, or 11145-123 is the roundest natural object ever measured. So, yes, I have that one. You are begging for bits. I don't know what to tell you. Quit begging. But yeah, that's all I really have for you guys today. I do appreciate everybody not delving into politics, because delving into politics is something that's very easy to do. Larry's asking, how round is it? I don't know. I'm going to have to look it up. That might be next week's useless space fact. Because I'm going to find something in comparison that most people are used to handling. But yeah, now I don't sound intelligent. But I really do appreciate everybody avoiding... I really do appreciate everybody avoiding politics. I am trying to present this stuff, especially when it's really sensitive, as neutral as I possibly can. Because it is sensitive, and there's a lot of feelings, and I don't want to be responsible for an international incident and or people getting upset. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. I do not know a lot. I do not know enough about a lot of stuff to even comment, and politics is definitely one of those things where I don't know enough to comment. So, especially Iran-US relations. Ta-da! There are whole books written about that, people. Anyway, Mike Cassidy asked, did I miss a political discussion? No! If you're just tuning in, Iran launched a rocket, and that's always a touchy political thing in the US. It's always touchy, and you'll have to go back and rewatch it, because I did my best to try to present it facts only, neutral, as best as I can to the best of my understanding. So, yeah, I'm excited that their rockets are doing better, but that's only because I think space is hard and spaceflight is awesome. So yeah. Anyway. Any other questions? You should have put a mouse or something in it. No, I don't think they're to the point where they're ready to send up live specimens. I don't think they're ready for that. Alright, wait a second. So Kepler is this... Can I ask about the... Larry asked, can I ask about the Iran payload weight to orbit? The Iran payload was a satellite called... Zafar? I'm gonna go with Zafar 1. I know they built 2 of them, and it didn't look very large, because I had seen pictures of it. It looks like it's probably a 2 by 2 by 2 CubeSat. Literally, it looks like a cube that's 2 CubeSats tall, 2 CubeSats wide, and 2 CubeSats deep. One CubeSat is about 10 centimeters on a side. For Americans, take a dollar bill, fold it in thirds, unfold 1/3, and that's 10 centimeters. So, yeah. It didn't look very large. The scale might have been off. It might be bigger or smaller than that. It might be a 3 by 3 by 3 cube. It might be a 4 by 4 by 4 cube, but it was a cube, and it was less than the size of a human torso. That's all I really know. I don't even think I have a picture handy. Let's see. Let's see if I can pull something up. See, the picture that I've seen and the picture that goes out with the press, it makes it look really big, but the picture that I've seen with actual scientists, it didn't look very large. So I also don't know which image is correct. So I'm going to quickly go to Gunter's space page. And aha, I found it. It is, let me pull that over onto the screen for you. I know, Tinkerbell, you want everything. It is 113 kilograms. So this is, it's not a great picture. And it definitely is not the picture that I had seen that had scientists in it. Other than the mass, there's not a lot of information. The nation, the application, the power, the mass, and the orbit. It was destined for 530 kilometers, and it didn't make it. They did build 2 of these at the same time. And it's supposed to have a ground resolution of, at best, 22.5 meters. So that's what I know. Yeah. Broken Symmetry is like, the dogs ain't too proud to beg. And make it rain! Make it rain! Anyways, thank you for that, Broken Symmetry. Yeah, it's 113 kilograms. Yeah, this is all touchy. This is all touchy. Okay. Last call. Because I need to record this and edit it. I at least need to record it. And yeah, get ready for Favorite Human to come back home. And I don't see any other questions, so I'm just gonna go ahead and everybody's doing the emote, happy emote thing. Yeah, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'm just gonna do the round out the things. Larry adds that Iran plans to send 1-ton satellites into an orbit of 1,000 kilometers and is setting up a new launch base for this purpose. Yeah. Oh, that's the wiki quote of the day. Yeah. Yeah, this is all touchy. This is all touchy. Okay. I'm gonna wrap this up because things and stuff. Mostly things. And oh, it's your wiki quote of the day. Okay. Okay, I'm glad you clarified, because I was like, what? So, Tinkerbell. Alright. And make it rain. Hello, Wangska. Guess what we're doing? We're getting ready to wrap it up. The actual wiki quote is from Abraham Lincoln. It's been a rough one, it's been a rough one, Wangus guy. So, yeah. This is me awkwardly being like, I want to avoid awkward, heated political discussions. So, yeah, I want to wrap things up now. For real. Anyways, that rounds out our show for today. Thank you all for being here. This is an audience-supported show, and we are here because of you. So thank you for all of your support. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for being here. Today's script was written by myself and Dave Bullard. My words are getting ahead of myself. Our producer is Susie Murph. Our fearless leader is Dr. Pamela Gay. And this has been a product of the Planetary Science Institute, which Tinker has opinions. Planetary Science Institute, which is a 501c3. I know you're excited. 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to exploring our solar system and beyond. yeah, if you want to become a supporter of the show, you can go to Patreon, you can subscribe here, you can donate bits, and if you can't afford to do any of that, you can follow us here on Twitch, you can subscribe to our YouTube, you can download our podcast. You can download our podcast, which has way less craziness and no dogs barking. Oh, thank you, Michael! Make it rain! And we're trying to retrain my dogs to be triggered by make it rain, not thank you. But, you know, things go as they go. So again, thank you everybody. Thank you for being awesome. Have a wonderful insert time of day here. And I will see you soon. Hi, Stray Robotics! Bye, Stray Robotics! Until next time, everyone. Bye!